We are delighted to have you all join us today for a webinar entitled The Urgency of Waste Management, Ecological Challenges, and Sustainable Infrastructure in Wetland. This webinar is a collaboration between the Environment, Agriculture, and Forestry Resilience Centers, one of centers at Resilience Development Initiative, and then the Southern Institute of Water Resources Research, and also the University of the Philippines, Los Baños. I would like to provide a brief information about the institution involved in this webinar. The first one is Resilience Development Initiative, or RDI. RDI is a think tank institution with a focus on studies related to resilience and sustainable development. RDI has several clusters and centers, one of which is the Environment, Agriculture, and Forestry Resilience Center. Yeah, and then the second institution is Southern Institute of Water Resources Research. Uh, this is institution that uh, as- uh, focus on technological and scientific research and for post-graduation training for provinces in southern part of Vietnam under the Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development. And then the third institution is the University of the Philippines, Los Baños. This is a university in Philippines and one of eight constituent universities of the Philippines system. And my name is Ilham Setiawanur. I am a research officer at the Environment, Agriculture, and Forestry Resilience Center. I am the host today, and it's my pleasure to guide you in this insightful event. This event will consist of presentation sessions from three speakers, followed by discussion from two discussants. After that, it will continue with Q&A session, and this event will last for approximately 2 hours. Before we starting this event, I want to welcoming greetings to all speakers and discussants today. The first speaker is Dr. Elizabeth Rianawati, Director of Resilience Development Initiative. Hello, Dr. Elizabeth, are you here?
Yes. Yes, Ilham. I'm here. Nice to meet you all. Greetings from Jakarta.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Dr. Elizabeth. Nice to see you again. And then the second speaker is Dr. Lam Noi, Deputy Head of International Cooperation Department of Southern Institute of Water Resources Research. Hello, Dr. Lam Noi. Nice to see you again.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Lam Nội from Southern Institute of Water Resource Research, based in Ho Chi Minh City. Today, I'm very happy to be the presenter of our webinar. Welcome all of you to the webinar, and thank you so much for inviting me to be here.
Yeah, thank you so much. Nice to see you again, Dr. Lam Noi. And then the third speaker is Miss Lizel Grefalda, an assistant professor of the University of the Philippines, Los Baños. Hello, Miss Lizel.
Hello, everyone. It's good to be here. I'm Lizelle Grifalda, and I am very much excited to share my topic, which is very much related to mangroves and social forestry. Yeah, nice meeting you, everyone.
Yeah, thank you, Miss Lizel. Nice to see you again. And then the first discussion is Dr. Sena Adi Subrata, a lecturer at the Faculty of Forestry, Gajah Mada University. Hello, Dr. Sena.
Hello, nice to meet you all.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining us, Dr. Sena. And the last but not least, the second discussion is Dr. Ekoning Tias Warguardani. Hello, Dr. Ekoning Tias.
Halo,
Are you
selamat
here?
siang Mas Ilham. Selamat siang
Yeah.
semuanya. Good afternoon everyone. It's very nice to see familiar face here. Hey, Dr. Elizabeth, you cut your hair.
Yeah, thank you so much, Dr. Ikoning Tias. Yeah, In the upcoming Q&A session, I encourage you to actively participate, share your experience, ask questions, and interact with speakers. Together, we can build a pathway to sustainable practices that ensure the health and longevity of our wetlands, right? Yeah, I think we can start this webinar. The the first agenda is opening remarks and also introduction from the program manager of Resilience Development Initiative, Mr. Wewin Wira. Hello, Mr. Wewin Wira.
Yeah, hello, Ilham. Yeah, if you could bear to share the screen, yeah, if you could let me share the screen. Little bit remarks, yeah.
Yeah, the time is yours.
Yeah. Okay, let me check if it's just moving, right? Okay, it's moving. Okay. Yeah. Thank you very much for RDI colleagues. I'd like to thank firstly the speakers that are here today. We've arranged a list of great speakers today and discussants as well, which Mr. Ilham has already introduced earlier. Thank you so much for your time, and hopefully you can together provide your expertise and sort of provide more awareness to the issue at hand in regards to wetlands, and also perhaps provide a pathway to solutions as well. I'd like to thank also the committee from the EAFOR Center. Thank you so much for your hard work from RDI's outreach team as well. I think right now it's 69 participants. We are also streaming this on YouTube. And also, I think last we checked, I think there were around 300 registered participants here. So there may be joining via YouTube as well. So I'd like to tell the participants a little bit about RDI and also a little bit about the EAFOR Center as well. So RDI, as most of you have known, is a think tank focusing on finding solutions to resilience and sustainable development. This year is 2024, so this would mark 18 years of our experience in sustainable development and resilience development. And we have networks in 20 plus countries listed below, and also we already have 75 plus active fellows and associates, and also 45 plus in-house researchers. And RDA is consisted of 7 research clusters: the disaster and climate resilience cluster, the regional and urban policy cluster, the renewable energy and emissions reduction cluster, water and waste management, children, social welfare and health, finance and business management, tourism and cultural heritage. We also have 5 centers now, which are supporting those clusters. Each of these clusters has a need for spatial and smart systems. So there's Smart System Center. Each of these clusters as well has a need for financing solutions. So we also developed the Center for Environment and Global Financing. Each of these clusters has some actionable solutions that they can implement. So we also developed the Policy Advocacy and Community Empowerment cluster, and the EAFOR cluster, which focuses on environment, agriculture, and forestry resilience issues, which are cross-cutting across all of these clusters. And the most recent one that we developed, because RDA has amassed a lot of experience in conducting training. So we are currently developing and soon to be launched the Barasi Training Center. Yeah. So we've partnered with a lot of universities recognized globally, and also we've also worked with a lot of clients as well. Yeah. Currently, we have 8 flagship research programs. One most notable, I think, nature-based solutions will cross-cut with a lot of topics that we are trying to talk about today. But we also have waste to energy and circular economy, global health, disaster risk financing and insurance, adaptive social protection, clean air development, climate and disaster displacement, and also the Ikai Nusantara, which also cross-cuts with a lot of forestry issues as well. Yeah, about the EAFOR Center, it focuses on environment, agriculture, and forestry resilience. We have four focuses. The first one is production and sustainable value chain. How can make sure that production of all forestry related commodities are done sustainably, and also landscape and ecological management. This is correlates well with the nature-based solutions, and also climate mitigation, adaptation, and carbon-based initiatives. And also the last one is livelihood and sociocultural well-being, which correlates well with communities, yeah, and community-based solutions in managing the environment and forestry as well. So in this center, we've done a lot of projects, which you can see from the slides here. Most notably, I think we've done a lot of projects at the ASEAN level, the regional level, trying to find solutions to solve transboundary haze, trying to find solutions to uh, better manage peatlands and wetlands as well. And yeah, we've had a lot of experience in these four areas of focus, and we decided to consolidate it into this new EAFOR cluster. Yeah. Yeah. And those of you who are professionals and also students and PhD students looking to do research, we have a lot of pathways to collaborate with you. We're open for joint research projects. We're open for joint paper development, publication. We're open for training as well, as I said, through the Barisi Training Center. If you have a specific training need, and we definitely can help you to solve that. We're open for visiting scholars and internships. If you happen to have an interest in researching in Indonesia or in the topics that I've mentioned before, we're open to hosting you. Of course, activities like these, webinars, workshops, and conferences, we're open to that, bringing more awareness to specific issues that are in line with our values as well. And also fellowship opportunities for you here that are experts that want to get to know us and work with us. You can check out the fellowship as well. Yeah, this is the Barsi Training Center, and this is the schedule for now. Some of the key training activities that we'll be conducting: life cycle assessment and circular economy, monitoring and evaluation, nature-based solutions, and climate and disaster displacement. This is our internship program. We've had a lot of international interns in RDI, learn at RDI as well. Most notably, a lot from the UK, Australia, and Singapore as well. Yeah. And also, this is our visiting scholars. Yeah, if you have some research, if you have an interest to conduct research in Indonesia or in topics that relate to RDI, feel free to contact us as well. Yeah, I think that's all from me, especially a little bit about RDI. And once again, I would like to thank the team as well from RDI and the distinguished speakers and discussants. Hopefully, we can foster productive discussion, raise awareness, and also hopefully find solutions as well. Yeah. Thank you very much, Mas Ilham.
Yeah, thank you so much, Vira. That's interesting. Now we know a lot of information about these activities related to resilience and sustainable development, right? Um, uh, and then I want to inform you about the attendance form and also presentation materials will be informed at the end of this webinar. So please join this webinar until the end. Yeah, and then the next main activities of this webinar will be hosted by our moderator, Ivana Joy Pauline Pangaribuan, a research officer of a Resilience Development Initiative. Hello, Ivana.
Hello, Mas Ilham. Thank you so much for opening this event. It's nice to see you, though. Okay.
Yeah, nice to see you. Yeah, I think you will lead the presentation and discussion sessions, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, Ivana, the time is yours.
Okay, thank you so much. Good afternoon. Hello, Xin Chao and Mabuhay. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Joy. I'm the research officer at RDI, and I will be the moderator for today's event. And welcome to our first webinar series, The Urgency of Waste Management, Ecological Challenges, and Sustainable Infrastructure in Wetland. And I'm personally so excited. We had almost 100 audiences and really great speakers and discussions in here today. So who I will introduce to you in just a few minutes. So before we start, I want to remind again, as Ilham mentioned before, that this session will be presented first by all speakers and then discussions, and then the end we will have a Q&A session. So please save your questions for our sessions, or you can write it in the chat box with the following format: name, institutions, and origin country. And if possible, we will roll all of those questions, okay? Okay. So let's jump to our first speaker, Dr. Elizabeth Rianawati, the Director of Resilience Development and Initiative Indonesia. Hello, Dr. Elizabeth. Are you here?
Hello,
Yes,
Joy.
right?
I'm here.
Hello, Dr. Yes, okay. So before we start, I want to say a bit that Dr. Elizabeth has been in the field of waste management for almost 18 years and focusing on river basin areas. And as a director of RDI, she has already jumped into many projects related to the environment and global resilience. Dr. Elizabeth, the screen and time is yours.
Thank you, Joy. It's nice to be here. And hello again. My name is Elizabeth, and I will. Sorry, I hear my voice in the background. Okay, okay. Thank you. So I'm going to talk today about the urgency of wetland waste management. So even though I mostly deal with waste management in urban area, as I go to coastal area, I see how accumulated all the untreated waste in the estuaries and also in the wetland. And it is very ironic because as we can see in the later slide, the wetland serve as a key environmental function to the sustainability of our earth, and also the sustainability of the livelihood for local people that live the neighboring or around the wetland. So maybe we can go to the next slide. Next, please. Okay, I will talk about, since I'm the first presenter, I have the privilege or the opportunity to present something that's very basic and easy, like what is wetland and the mapping of wetland in Southeast Asia. And all the content will go to the later speaker, which is good for me. And then I will give also an overview of how waste management in Southeast Asia conducted in a wetland area. So I will give you some study case, and finally, of course, recommendation. Okay, we can come into the first topic, that is wetland. Next, please. Next slide. Okay. So what is wetland? We know that wetland is an area that is covered by water or saturated with water. So it can be combination of salt, fresh, or somewhere in between, either seasonally or permanently. And wetland soil saturation influences surrounding vegetation. So we can say that wetland is actually a transitional zone between the soil and the sea. And it acts as climate regulators, it acts as coastal protector, and it acts as natural water treatment. Yeah, as a water treatment. So when I went to several areas in Indonesia that is not conserved, the wetland is not conserved, like there is no transition between the land and the sea, we can see that the level of abrasion is very high. And not only that, we can see that there is a very poor sanitation also because of the high sea level rise. So the sea level rise will inundate the houses and also the sanitation inside of the house, and it will make the people who live in the house become sick or get a skin disease, something like that. So some area that we went to have a study, even we went to an area in Central Java in Indonesia where they have to, the whole village need to migrate because the level of abrasion is very high, the sea level is very high, that they cannot longer live there, their houses being inundated. But when we trace back like what has happened, is because it's simply that the wetland, the ecosystem in the wetland is gone. So we can see like the importance of wetland conservation in an area. We can go next. Okay, then in the next slide, we can see here the picture of coastal wetland. So this is like a very good and ideal picture of a coastal wetland where the vegetation is still intact and no waste there. And the other one, the picture on the right side, is an inland wetland, which is often freshwater habits formed by rainfall or the upward movement of groundwater. Some of these wetlands are seasonal, such as marshes, swamps, and becks. So we can go next. Next slide, please. So in this picture, in the next slide, you will see like wetland in Southeast Asia. So this is like the Ramsar sites in Southeast Asia. So Ramsar sites is based on the Ramsar Convention. When they pledge that a certain area with that is ideal to become conserved as a wetland conservation is protected. So we can see here that in 2020, the wetland area covers around 123,000 kilometers square, which mostly are from coastal wetlands. So it's around 48%. And the other 40% is a coastal swamp. We can go next. So as I mentioned, the benefit of a wetland are for carbon sink, but there is also a threat from the excessive coastal development, land conversion, and reclamation, in addition to pollution. And but 45% of it has been converted to palm oil. So it's like the wetland is home to 56% of global tropical peatland, but in a way, we put this map of Southeast Asia. We can see here that Indonesia and Malaysia has converted most of its wetland into palm oil. And this conversion may cause a shift in aquatic biodiversity, often resulting in declining of local freshwater fish population in wetlands. Next, please. So other than that, the threat for the wetland in Southeast Asia is waste and debris in wetland area. So even we can say that the wetland condition in some area is in the brink of degradation. Sadly, most of the population who live near this wetland are not aware of the impact when the wetland has already degraded or already gone. They only realize after the sea level has already risen.
Sorry, Dr. Elizabeth, we can really hear your voice. Oh, okay. Okay,
Right now,
maybe we can next.
Okay. Let me suaranya. Now you can hear my voice now. I'm sorry for the technical difficulties.
Oh, okay. Okay, now it's clear. Okay, please continue, Dr. Elizabeth. Sorry, but now it's mute, in a mute mode. Dr. Elizabeth? Hello? Dr. Elizabeth? Can you hear us?
Sorry. I'm sorry, guys, for the technical difficulties. So it seems like my laptop
Okay.
is stop functioning. But anyway, okay, the solid and waste
Okay.
plastic pollution is the major problem. So we did a study in Cambodia. So we measure like how much the plastic pollution comes from the agriculture sector alone. So we make a sampling to 5 provinces, and from that sample, we calculated that around almost 600 tons of plastic waste is emitted from agriculture sectors. And when we ask the agriculture sectors there about their waste management, the most of the waste are either burned or they discard it into the soil or into the river. This is a similar problem that is faced also in Indonesia, where most of the waste from urban or from agriculture or even from the private sectors are also discharged directly um, into the river and ended up in the wasteland and degrade the wasteland. So here you can see several uh, case study like how Indonesian government tackle the problem. But if I go through those slides, like actually my team has already prepared like what they do in Indonesia, what they do in Cambodia, and what they do in Thailand. Uh, I can conclude. Maybe we can go to the conclusion instead. To the last slide, we can conclude that um, there is no real waste management in the wetland area. All that has been done in the 3 case study that I have shown, not I have shown, but I mentioned, that is in Indonesia, Thailand, and Cambodia, is just being a reactive program where people or local community are asked to collect the waste that is already built up in the wetland, and only like some cases of mitigation that has been done, like the one in Jakarta, where the government can spend some money to buy a very big excavator and excavate the waste from the river. But other than that, actually, there not much has been done to mitigate the wetland waste buildup. So in this case, I think there we need to organize capacity building activity for related officer and community in the wetland areas, or either creating task force and conducting more garbage cleaning activities and a campaign for sustainable waste management system. So thank you all for your attention, and I'm sorry for the tech problem. Back to you, Joy.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Elizabeth. Very interesting. Like we can see that plastic waste is again and again becoming a major problem in wetland management. And thank you, Dr. Elizabeth. For our audiences, please save your questions for our Q&A, or you can directly write in our chat box with name, institution, and your country origin. Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Elizabeth. We can continue to our second speakers. We have Dr. Lam Noi from Southern Institute of Water Resources Research from Vietnam. Hello, Dr. Lam Noi.
Hello, good
nice to
afternoon.
see you.
Yeah,
Good
hello, good
afternoon.
afternoon, Ellen. Good afternoon,
Okay.
Ellen. Can you hear me?
Okay, so yes, I can hear you
Okay.
very clear. Okay. So
Okay.
Dr. Lam Noi has been in this area for almost 20 years, maybe more than 20 years, and she already been in environmental management and work on water supply planning, water policy, and governance for water security and management, and also climate change risk assessment and adaptation for the water sector in Southeast Asia. 20 years is a long time. Thank you, Dr. Lam Noi. The time is yours.
Thank you, Joy. Thank for nice introduction. I love Indonesia, and I also love Indonesian people. Like when I study at Asian Institute of Technology, Bangkok, Thailand, I have a lot of Indonesian friends. And today I'm very happy to join the webinar to present to not only Indonesian but also some friend from other country. First of all, I would like to introduce that I come from Southern Institute of Water Research based in Ho Chi Minh City, and we focus on water research in Mekong Delta and also in other part in Vietnam. But our focus is in Mekong Delta. Today, I will present about sustainable infrastructure in wetland management in Lower Mekong River Basin, not only in Vietnam, because I also have a bit experience working in Thailand, Laos, Cambodia for the water-related project. And currently, right now, I am the principal investigator of water resource environmental water-related project, conducting the assessment for water accessibility for vulnerable and marginalized people in Lower Mekong Basin in 3 countries: Thailand, Vietnam, and Laos. And today I will present the key point about the sustainable infrastructure in wetland management. Next slide, please. My content including the 5 parts. Introduction. The second is the first introduction. The second is a water-related challenge to sustainable development of the Lower Mekong River Basin. The third is I will present about the key water infrastructure for wetland management in the Mekong Delta, focus on the area in Mekong Delta. And the fourth, I will present a selected result of irrigation infrastructure operation in agriculture production and other sectors in Mekong Delta, especially all are related to the wetland. And the last, I will give some discussion, and I'm happy to answer some discussion in the Q&A section also. The first, we come back to the introduction about the general situation. Right now, all wetland and coastal area affected by climate change. Of course, the time is very limited, so I will present that due to climate change. The important thing is that temperature will be increasing and the sea level rise increasing, and also the frequency and consequence of rainfall of other natural hazard like the heavy rain, typhoon, and some other is also change and unprediction. Because of the unprediction, so we have many issue and problem. So in terms of for survive and also for economic, social economic development, we need the good plan for the water resource management, especially focus on water resource management for the wetland right today. Next slide, please. From I would like to introduce the Lower Mekong River Basin, including the four countries, Vietnam, Thailand, and Laos, how located in the big Mekong River Basin. The big Mekong River Basin have a 6 countries like you see in the table, and it's a long distance and the big river basin in Southeast Asia. This river provide water for many people and the area cover, especially cover provide the water for the wetland and for the rice production, like in the picture from the water from China to Myanmar, Laos, Thailand, and Cambodia. Next slide, please. Here you can see at the end of the Mekong River Basin, you can see the Mekong Delta with 13 provinces in the Mekong Delta with the very specific location with characteristic of topography is that less than most of the around more than 60% of total area is less than 1 meter, less than 1 meter, and it's very flat earlier and lowland. That's why it own of the area provide the water by Mekong River with 9 river mouth. So they call Cửu Long River. It means that's the river with 9 mouth in Mekong Delta. Next slide, please. Here you can see from the general topography is lowland and affected by sea level rise and also other factors. So the water-related challenging to sustainable development in Mekong Delta have some key issue. The first the key issue is flooding happen on sunny on rainy season. For the sunny season, for the dry season, this area facing with the water intrusion, including with that in the sunny season, it also facing with the acid sulfate soil and acid water in it's based on the natural characteristic of soil in the Mekong Delta, and parallel with that, during the sunny season, when the rainfall is low, the rainfall is low, so the drought situation is happen in Mekong Delta, especially the critical drought is from January. This is the beginning of the dry season in Mekong Delta, and the saltwater intrusion and the drought happen. According to that, based on the sunny season and the drought season, the flow will be changed, and riverbank erosion and sedimentation also happen in the river basin with the issue, and according to that, water also can be polluted by the socio-economic activity. In addition that, some direct and not direct impact from the upstream development, like the hydropower development, about the climate change and land subsidence typhoon also affect to the risk region. Next slide, please. Here yeah, you can see the delta challenging with all the issue like the landslide, flooding, soil water intrusion, about the drought, about the quality of water, about the sand mining. So the sand mining and hydropower from upstream to downstream also will reduce the land total the sand total value sand in the downstream, and the sediment also reduce by on the activity of upstream. Next slide, please. Here we can classify it to two categories. The categories first from the external challenge is the from ocean and climate change, and upstream challenge. Next slide, please. Here for the challenge of the climate change climate change, we already know that by on the climate change scenario, the wetland will be impact, and also the soil water intrusion will be affect to the to the wetland, and also the soil water intrusion will change the characteristic of the of surface water in the coastal area, especially the area with the connect with the river mouth, between the river mouth and coast and the sea. Next slide, please. Here we can see also the on the upstream have the hydropower dam, and the hydropower dam from the upstream to downstream will affect directly to the Mekong Delta. In here you can see the current hydropower, and also the plant hydropower in yellow color. In six country, they estimate that Mekong River Commission estimates that more than 100 dam is a current more than 100 dam in the river Mekong River basin, and the operation of the dam, hydropower dam, they open the dam, they block the water, something affect directly to water flow running to Mekong Delta, and the operation of the dam from upstream affect directly to sand, to the total sedimentation and sand in Mekong Delta. Next slide, please. Here you can see that for the irrigation area in Laos and Thailand and in Vietnam, the challenge to sustainable development is that one challenge thing is that the expanding of irrigate area. The irrigate area in because we increasing the agriculture production, so the irrigation area increasing for every year, and they estimate that on 2040 the irrigation area can be approximately increasing from 17% to 90% in some in Laos, in Cambodia, and in Thailand. Yeah, next slide, please. For the second category, we can classify into the internal delta challenge. Internal delta challenge, we have some big issue related to water, like the land subsidence, low photography. Land subsidence is based on the foundation in Mekong Delta is weak, so and that's why it's make land subsidence, and also including also adding with that issue the groundwater attraction. With they use the groundwater also makes the land increasing the land subsidence issue in Mekong Delta. The third is that, like I already told you, that the operating on the dam, hydropower dam, affect to the sedimentation in the Mekong Delta, and also the flow of water also affect to erosion bank in Mekong Delta. Next slide, please. Here you can see that the land subsidence, it increasing the total point from the baseline is that the rate is the land subsidence is around 0.5 to 3 centimeter per year in some weak foundation point in Mekong Delta. Next slide, please. For the future, they can predict that some location in 2000 on 2000 in 2100 it may be some location will be reduced around 1 meter, even 2 meter for the land subsidence here. Next slide, please. For the other issue in additional issue is that we meet with the flooding. The flooding is currently right now happen not only in near the river, it also happen in the urban area by due to the some factor like the heavy, not only heavy rain but also climate change, also high tidal flooding in the urban area, and also the flooding is annual flooding come from upstream to downstream is unpredictable. It's difficult to predict because of change in climate, change in climate data, in change in the frequency and consequence in every year. So sometimes the flooding come little. However, the frequency is not normal. It difficult to predict. Next slide, please. For the zone intrusion is very critical in Mekong Delta by because of the many factors, climate change and operation of the dam from upstream to downstream. So many dam, when they block water, the water flow come to Mekong Delta is smaller, is the less volume water is less. So the zone water intrusion happen happen heavier in the map you and you can see that the red point is that zone water intrusion effect to the field, to the rice field of the Mekong Delta in some coastal area. Next slide, please. Here you can see zone water intrusion is the effect, and they can calculate this is the load, the damage and load of the equal to US dollar in some province on 2021 based on the data of calculation of load and damage by zone water intrusion. We are currently facing with the many issue of water resource management. When we have too much too much water, it is the flooding, coastal erosion. When we have a little water, the water cannot enough, it make drought, and it it affect to the crop. Next slide, please. Here you can see that the first example is too little water, so it becomes the Mekong Delta will be drought, and when it too much water, it also flooding. So in the wetland management also they have to fixing with many issue in the wetland, like during the sunny season, the water come very little, so no water, and during the rainy season sometimes the flooding is difficult to predict, so we cannot manage well the water, so it's when it be affect to the Mekong Delta. Next slide, please. Here
Dr. Lamnoy, sorry, you have 5 minutes to go.
Okay, thank you.
Thank
okay,
you, sorry.
I can go quickly. That is the bank erosion. Next slide, please. And the river bank erosion like it is many point erosion here and landslide in the Mekong Delta. Next slide, please. Here, climate change and sea level rise will be affect to zone water intrusion. It is an example of the some result research from SIWA, SIWRR. Yeah. Next slide, please. Because the time is limited, so I remove to the key water infrastructure of the wetland. Here water what infrastructure for wetland need many kind of infrastructure like the dam, like the water reserve, lake irrigation, and other pipeline, sluice gate, water embedment, something. So we will go to the summary of the water infrastructure in the next slide. Next slide, please. Here you can see the key water infrastructure for wetland management, also for irrigation, incorporate in Mekong Delta. We have a sluice gate, dam, pump station, irrigation and drainage, pipeline and embankment. So I would like to show you one result of about the dye, about the perforate hollow triangle breakwater dye, a kind of sea dye in the video. The video, please. Yeah.
Được thực hiện như sau. Bước 1. Dùng máy đào hố móng sâu 0,5 m, rộng 9 m. Bước 2. Đặt bè cưa chàm được gia công sẵn xuống hố móng. Bước 3. Đổ đất lấp hố móng. Bước 4. Trải vải địa kỹ thuật. Bước 5. Đổ đá dăm. Bước 6. Đặt và lắp ghép các cấu kiện bê tông đúc sẵn. Bước 7. Thả đá hộc. Phương pháp thi công này vừa giúp chống sụt lún công trình cũng như tránh bị di chuyển do sóng đánh mạnh.
Okay, thank you. Next slide, please. This is the one kind of infrastructure, sea dye. Okay, next now one infrastructure, one kind of infrastructure, and this is a result from the research SIWA research team. My colleague did it for the sea dye to protect the livelihood of the community in the coastal area. So here in the next slide, you can see that in currently in Mekong Delta they have a 14 irrigation system for not only for wetland management but also for the agriculture and aquaculture production. Next slide, please. Here we can focus on the key result. Key result here, you in the picture you can see the sea dye, a project of SIWA, SIWRR. Here it makes the mangrove protection, reduction of the lowland, and protect other system livelihood inside of in the coastal area of Mekong Delta. Next slide, please. Here you can see that, okay, for the infrastructure, it protects the infrastructure of water management. It protects the infrastructure in the on land. It means onshore. It also increasing the agriculture production. It give increasing the aquatic resort and aquaculture. Also, it increasing it protect biodiversity, protect livelihood of community. Somewhere it is a very clear the application of the water infrastructure. Next slide, please. Here for the discussion, I can give the discussion that too many challenge to sustainable infrastructure of the Mekong River Basin, especially in the Mekong Delta, which is currently dealing with many stakeholders from government, NGO, and farmer and other stakeholders. In the Mekong Delta, most of the infrastructure are responsible to own responsible by government. They respond to own key irrigation infrastructure. For the Ethiopian water infrastructure in not only in Mekong Delta but also in Thai, Laos, and Vietnam, because of limitation of the budget and other results. And during dealing with the objective here is that wetland management and operation from the other challenging and other impact, we need require the implementation of a good strategy and provide a lot of alternative to manage and also develop the many alternative of infrastructure for the wetland management in the future. And in conclusion, I mentioned that infrastructure is a very necessary, is a key important point for economic social development. And based on that, sharing information among the Mekong country on methodological data, hydropower dam operation is extremely necessary in the operating water infrastructure for sustainable development. This is my presentation. So now I'm happy to share with you. And next slide, please. And I would like to say thank you for all of you for listening. And this is a picture is that myself give some time for the wallet household in Mekong Delta because they don't have enough money to buy the tank for storing water. So my research team buy the water tank for them and give a souvenir for the household by on the project of Stockholm Environmental Institute project in Vietnam, Thailand, and Laos. Thank you so much for listening, and I would like to respond to all the questions. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Lamnoy. It's very interesting. Somehow Mekong River passes 5 countries, right, in Southeast Asia. One of it is Vietnam. So I can see that it's very important for the livelihood as well. And I see there's like the importance of infrastructure to help the wetland management itself. Thank you so much, Dr. Lamnoy. Okay, next we have our third speaker from University of the Philippines, Los Baños, Miss Lizel. Okay, so Ms. Lizel have been experienced for more than 10 years in social forestry, mangrove management, and coastal resilience. Ms. Lizel, the time and screen are yours. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Joy. Can you allow me to share my presentation?
Yes, sure.
Not yet. It's still disabled.
Okay, wait. Okay, what about now? Ms. Lizel, ready?
Yeah,
Hello?
it is.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so thank you again for that for your introduction, and good day, everyone. It is my pleasure to be sharing and to be here in the first series of RDI's webinar. And thank you for the opportunity to speak in this event. So this afternoon, I wish to talk about the our study on mangrove. So particularly, it's about community-based mangrove conservation, promoting climate resilience in Quezon, Philippines. So this is taking the case of one of the community-led mangrove areas in Quezon province. So I would like to discuss also, of course, some difficulties or challenges, but yet very critical to pursue mangrove conservation. So my knowledge about mangrove started actually when I was as an undergrad student, when we had a field trip for our taxonomy course where we collected mangrove species for identification. So back then when we visited the area, which is located in Pagbilao, Quezon, which you can see in the photo. So I have seen that there are already some challenges like low mortality of the mangrove species and then monospecies, so they are planting mainly like rhizophora species, and sometimes some of these trees are covered with barnacles that could also suppress the growth of the mangrove. And then I would like to share with you or show you also another mangrove area in Palawan, which is managed by the Department of Environment and Natural Resources. So this was taken in 2022 when we visited for also for a research. So this is a mangrove area located in a snake island in Puerto Princesa, Palawan, where the DNR is primarily allocating this for research and ecotourism, potential ecotourism in the future. Also, somewhere in Puerto Princesa, Palawan, this particular site, we, it has been a venue for ceremonial planting for tourists when we had a training also. And then we brought our participants in Puerto Princesa. So they use this popular rhizophora because, well, primarily out of convenience because we can easily get the propagules and stick it on the ground. But if you look at the growth and the survival of the planted rhizophora on the left side, it is the survival is low, and also the growth is somehow stunted. So compared to the naturally growing Soneracha species at the back. So this is just a reminder that when we plant mangroves, it should be right species and in the right zones. So here in this picture, I am showing you also a very nice mangrove forest that is kept intact somewhere in Del Carmen, Siargao. And this is dominated naturally by rhizophora species. It is not tall, but the area is very dense. And recently we had a visit in a village where in this area, located also is a mangrove area in Alitas in Panta, Quezon. This is where we had our research. So we brought our students there for a field trip last year in November 2023. This is also a community-led conservation and protection of mangroves. So the people's organization is leading the mangrove conservation and protection of this area. And recently they have been issued with a community-based forest management agreement. So they already have a tenure for 25 years. And part of that agreement is the conservation and management of the mangrove area. And in the next barangay or village, which is called Binonoan in Infanta, Quezon also, another community-led mangrove area. So if you could notice that over these mangrove trees are fruit bats flying freely on top of it and making the mangroves as their habitat. Now, before I move on to the more technical part, let me provide you definitions of mangroves so that later, when I talk about or share about resilience and climate change, we have a common understanding or common footing on the concepts and definitions. So mangroves serves as a hinge. They connect the landscape and seascape, and of course, it also connects people and community. So everything is connected, like upland forest can capture rainwater, so it also recharges the groundwater. So if we have good upland cover, it keeps the soil from erosion. And then as well as the eroded sediments, it can be trapped, and mangrove serves as a filter. So it protects the coral reefs. Mangrove also regulates tidal waves, and most importantly, it sequesters voluminous amount of carbon, being a catchment for upstream organic materials. Okay. And these are just some of the many ecosystem services that can be derived from mangroves. So we have climate regulation, wood, livelihood, fisheries, tourism, and the likes. So mangroves is a forest ecosystem. So this can be it thrives exclusively in tropics and subtropical regions. And then it is also a land use. So we can see this between terrestrial and marine communities, and they receive daily input of water from the oceans and freshwater sediments, nutrients, and silt deposits from upland rivers. So they are very much dependent on seawater or saline environment. And of course, we cannot plant mangrove in freshwater lakes because mangroves are salt tolerant plants, and it is called calophytic. Okay, and of the 71 to 73 species that are true mangroves found in almost 123 countries, we can laud that the Philippines has more of this mangrove species, and we have about 39 species under 16 genera and 14 families in the Philippines. Okay, so now moving on to the question, why do we need to conserve mangroves? So number one reason is deforestation and degrading ecosystem services, and this has implication on losing many of ecosystem services. So globally, we have about 15.7 million hectares, and Philippines ranked number 15 in terms of mangrove cover, and Indonesia is number 1. And the largest contiguous mangrove can be found in India and Bangladesh, and this we call this the Sundarban mangroves. So the Philippines has about more or less 3,000 hectares mangrove cover. And in the graph, it also shows that globally, the largest mangroves can be found in Asia. But ironically, deforestation is most serious in Southeast Asia, where almost or more or less 50% of the world's mangroves are located. So historically, mangroves were subject to high rates of deforestation, which is up to 3.6% per annum. However, since the turn of millennium, global mangrove deforestation rates have slowed with annual rates of 0.2 to 0.7%. But in the Philippines, somehow we can say that we are doing better compared to other countries. But when it comes to the full picture, like looking at the whole Southeast Asia, we have mangrove loss of about 2.1% between 2000 to 2012. And these deforestation problems are anthropogenic, mainly anthropogenic as much as 46%, and of which 20.5% is because of or due to agriculture, aquaculture development. So also in the previous presentations, some wetland areas, including mangroves, are converted in oil palm plantation. So they also mentioned that. So the following are the threats to mangroves, like climate change, coastal development, pollution, aquaculture, agriculture, and logging, which results to fragmentation and total clearance of mangrove forests. So these are just some of the threats, and these threats are the drivers of mangrove loss. So the trend of mangrove in the Philippines is shown in this graph. So from 500,000 hectares in early 1900s to its current state, which is about 303,000 hectares. So in this graph, it is shown that there was an decreasing trend for the past several decades. There was decreasing trend of mangrove areas. But in 1995, it started to increase or improve. Okay, and then it has been increasing over the past decades. So this is because of the recognition of ecosystem values and with the implementation of community-based forest management. So there were programs being implemented and other strategies. So why do we need to conserve? Because there are communities dependent on the mangroves. Or in fact, there are mangrove areas that are community managed, and roughly about 15% of community-based forest management or the CBFM projects are situated in the mangrove forest. So we need to prioritize conservation because many are dependent on it. Okay, second reason is climate change adaptation and mitigation. So we have to solve climate change. So in this graph, it shows that we have reached this much of a problem. Currently, the carbon dioxide level is 400 parts per million, which is actually a very alarming concentration of carbon dioxide. So first time in the Earth's history. And as per IPCC 2019 report, the temperature anomaly relative to 1850 to 1870 during that years at present is 1.5 degrees Celsius. So scientists says that if we have exceeded for about 1.5 and 2 degrees additional global mean temperature, then there will be more surprises and challenges. And though we are not yet there, but we are seeing evidences like tropical cyclone or storms that are more intense and frequent. So just like the recent storms in the Philippines, they are very slow but strong, and they have brought about a lot of flooding in the country. And I myself experienced the flooding in 2022 when Typhoon Paeng with international name Nalje hit the Philippines. So we also experienced sea level rise, storm surge, strong typhoons leading to strong storm surge. So in this particular study in Nature Communications, under high emissions or worst case scenario, there will be 630 million people who live on land below projected annual flood levels for 2100 and up to 300 million people for 2050. So this could be, I'll show you a map. So this could be a picture of Manila, the capital of the Philippines. So Manila has a problem already of ground subsidence. And this is not a good combination if there will be sea level rise. Okay, so there will be serious coastal flooding, which will highly likely in the next 3 decades from now. So we don't want to wait for this to happen. So otherwise, looking at the map, those that are in red, so that's the western side of the Philippines, will be submerged in the future, which we don't want to happen in the future. And to answer also why we need to conserve mangroves, we need also to know if mangroves can really cope up. The answer is yes, but with condition. It can cope up only if mangrove forest rises at rate equal to sea level rise. And it can also cope up if vegetation is healthy to produce litter, and it can trap sediments, which is called accretion. And only if there's enough space to move landward. So as the sea level is rising, they have to migrate landward. So
Sorry,
moving
Miss
on.
Hazel, you have 5 minutes. I'm sorry.
Okay, I'll wrap up. Thank you for the reminder. So it could also be no, okay, if there will be permanent land uses denial landward migration, or there will be coastal squeeze, and if there is change in hydrology. So Another reason is mangroves cannot cope up if there will be natural barriers. So they cannot grow well. So we need to prevent a massive mangrove loss in the future. So it depends, of course, on how we respond today. So here, there's a global mangrove alliance. So it's a kind of um, recognizing mangroves' role in addressing climate change and protecting storms. The Philippines is developing, of course, this kind of roadmap also to increase mangrove cover of at least 20% by 2023. It's a kind of ambitious goal, but it requires a lot of collaboration among partners. So we need to conserve mangrove because they help us adapt. Okay, so for climate change adaptation. So in some of the sorry, during there was this typhoon Haiyan in 2013, and in one of the town they say that they have been saved by mangroves because it serves as a buffer. Okay, now another one is climate change mitigation. So mangroves together with salt marsh, seagrass can store voluminous amount of carbon. And blue carbon has a basic science of photosynthesis, like where plants capture carbon dioxide and store it in the biomass. And mangroves can store 3 to 0.4 times higher carbon stocks. Okay? Just like in this nice dense mangrove in Macarascas. The vegetation alone stores about 653 tons of carbon. Also in Antique, so they have stored carbon. Sorry. Okay. Moving on. Okay, so how can we address mangrove deforestation and degradation? It's the common response is mangrove planting, but this is not enough. So for us to be able to solve the problem, we need to dig deeper and dissect the anatomy of the problem. And when we have to if we have to design conservation solution, this should be responsive of the foundational problems or the root of the problems. Here, enhancing local resilience, this is the myth of this presentation. So taking the case of Infanta Quezon. So before, this was dominated by fish ponds, and the fish ponds have been abandoned, and it has been reverted back to mangrove and rehabilitated by the community. So the municipality was hit by typhoon, and this has been damaged, and there were flooding and landslide. But to enhance the resilience, how mangroves can help, of course, they say that community resilience is commensurate to the area of mangrove forest cover that provides people with multiple ecosystem benefits. So they also regard mangroves as their shield against typhoon, and also they have been, so this community have been joining mangrove rehabilitation project, and it also provides additional income. So aside from that, it also prohibits illegal fishing activities and mangrove cutting. And there were deputized fish wardens and community volunteers to help protect the mangrove. And also people of this village, they also reinforce their houses, especially supporting their houses before typhoon. And they also have evacuation, a local evacuation serves as a temporary shelter, which they call saguban, inside the NIPA. And then for this to happen, we have to enhance the resilience by collaborative management of mangrove stakeholders. So the capacitation of the local government units and staff from the DNR. And then as well as there should be strong local commitment and active participation of the community. So the point here is to be informed. And when we do conservation, we have to be informed and value science. Also, we need to invest on nature because it also provides a lot of ecosystem services. And there are nature-based solutions that we can embrace, like disaster risk reduction and ecosystem-based approach adaptation. So for the rehabilitation of mangroves, we need to understand also realize that there should be considerations like right species, right place, timing, season, nursery, production, field planting, and maintenance. But important is the right people. So it's not just after planting and then we take photos. We need people who are aware and knowledgeable. And then when we design also mangrove conservation program, there should be a common understanding and vision why they are doing it. So a local community and the stakeholders must understand um, the vision of doing mangrove conservation and protection. Again, mangrove conservation is not just a mere planting. It is serious protection of existing mangroves, active restoration and degradation, institutionalizing community-based livelihoods for blue carbon and ecosystem services. And then the most importantly is doing collaborative mangrove management. And that is the key for promoting mangrove sustainability and local resiliency. So with that, thank you very much and have a blessed day. So I would like to acknowledge also the following for sharing information, photos, and other relevant materials. And of course, big thanks to RDI for this opportunity. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you so much, Ms. Liesel. It's very interesting. It's bringing back my bachelor study again about mangrove. And so I highlight that the mangrove loss is caused like almost 46% by anthropogenic and industrial activities, right? And to overcome this, we have to also underline the importance of the local community and community-based mangrove management, right? And yeah, we have to underline the key of collaborative, as your presentation said, like everything is connected, right? Okay. Thank you so much, Ms. Liesel. Please stay. We have Q&A session. Okay, we already have our 3 speakers all already present their best materials. And before we jump to our Q&A session, we have our 2 discussants, and they will respond to all presentations before. And let's see it from another point of view. First, we have Dr. Sena. He's a lecturer from the Faculty of Forestry at Gadjah Mada University, Indonesia. Dr. Sena, hello.
Hello, good afternoon.
Okay. Good afternoon, Dr. Sena. The time and screen is yours.
Thank you very much, Joy. Okay, regarding the presentation of Dr. Lamno, it's very interesting. We know about the infrastructure that can be used to mitigate the disaster. But beside the infrastructure you have explained, Dr. Lamnoy, I'm curious about the intergovernmental policy because the Mekong River connects several countries. Therefore, its management should be involved of the countries. Is there any management plan relevant to managing land cover and land use in the Mekong River basin? And particularly, is there any governmental policy to maintain, just for example, a certain proportion of land as a forest area? Because we know that forest is very important to mitigate like disaster. This is for some question for Dr. Lamnoy. And then for Dr. Elizabeth and Dr. Grivalda, I have some question. Involving local people to overcoming the challenge is very important. Then the question is how to attract them. Most likely, providing income for them is an ultimate magnet. Then the subsequent question is what kind of economic activities that are appropriate for them. Surely it should not be the exact one. Would you like to share the most interesting experience with us regarding the economic activities? Maybe one or two experience that's very interesting for us, Dr. Grivalda. Okay, that's I hope this question can trigger a lot of another discussion. Thank you, Joy.
Okay, Dr. Sena, thank you so much. it's very like tricky and interesting questions. Now I'm thinking, yeah, it needs it 5 countries, so intergovernmental policies is very important on this. Okay, before the speakers answer, I think we can jump to our second discussion. Thank you so much, Dr. Sena. We can go to Dr. Eko Ningtyas.
Oke, terima kasih Mbak Joy.
Yes.
Just call me Dani. No need to my full
Okay.
name. No need my
Okay,
complicated Javanese full name. Okay.
Okay, Mbak
Okay.
Dani, thank you so
Yeah,
much.
I
The time
think
is yours.
I will elaborate not only question from the three presentation, and this is very timely. I think for RDI conducts an event to discuss about the related issues of waste management, ecological challenge, and also sustainable infrastructure in wetlands. These topics are very pertinent actually, especially in the ASEAN context. And we have heard some interesting presentation, issue, challenge, and also solution from the three presenter. And the first one from the Dr. Elizabeth, I think she set up the tone of the webinar this afternoon by addressing the urgency of wetland and waste management in Southeast Asia. And she pointed out the importance of the wetland in the region. She further explained that despite various challenges, significant efforts have been made by multiple actors. And taking example from Indonesia, Cambodia, Thailand, and China, she shows that collaborative action should be taken to improve the conservation and restoration of wetlands given the rapid decline. And I would like to ask Dr. Elizabeth to elaborate more actually, because from our perspective in ASRI, we have some kind of, not really issue, but we have some challenge regarding the waste management, especially in one of our side project in Bukit Baka and Bukit Raya, West Kalimantan. And the issue of waste management is very crucial there. Similar to what you said or you presented in the case studies in various ASEAN countries, despite various efforts made by governments and other stakeholders to improve waste management, the fact in the ground shows that wetlands are exposed to waste mismanagement, what we call mismanagement, especially in the riverine and basin areas. And we think that this needs to call for behavior change. And it is very difficult actually, behavior change from various actors, including local communities, private sectors, and other stakeholders. From our experience, we consider that promoting awareness of waste management is important to improve behavior change. So maybe you can also say something about the factor of behavior of the people in waste management, whether is it in the rural area or urban area. And for Dr. Lam, I think your presentation on sustainable infrastructure in wetland management shows some fascinating facts relevant to wetland management and sustainable development. And the experience from the Mekong area can bring us some lesson to be learned, not only at the local or national levels, but also in the ASEAN region. We see the development of huge infrastructures can be solution to the wetland-related issues in improving livelihood and also biodiversity conservation. But my question is, are there any socio and cultural impacts on the infrastructure development to the local people? If so, what kind of the impacts? And can you please elaborate more on these issues? Last but not least, I appreciate Miss Lizelle. How can I pronounce your name actually? Sorry.
Yeah, that's right, Lisel.
Lizelle. Yeah, thank you so much for the
That's correct.
presentation. I was staying in the Philippines for 4 years, especially in Los
Wow.
Baños. So your
Oh,
presentation brings back memories, a lot of memories. And yeah, and thank you so much for your presentation about you show us the climate resilient issue from the ground. And this is another best practices, I think, that we can learn from the local context in dealing with various challenges to improve conservation and restoration efforts. And you also presented very fascinating, the web in the slide number, I don't really remember 16 or something, but can you explore or elaborate more and about the multi-stakeholder engagement for mangrove conservation in the Philippines, especially from your case study? I think that's all my, I don't know, concern, question, I don't know. Yeah, I'm sorry if I'm taking too much time. Back to you, Mbak Joy. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Badani. It's very interesting. No matter how time, but we can see a lot of good questions appear here. So I think we can give the stage to our speakers. Maybe we can start from Dr. Elizabeth. I will repeat all the questions from Dr. Sena, highlighting the importance of. Oh, okay. The time is yours, Dr. Elizabeth.
Maybe if I cannot answer or I forget to answer something, you remind me. But I think for Pak Sena question should be answered by Budani, because Asri has done a lot of community empowerment in terms of livelihood. Yeah, Budani, maybe you can later and share about how community empowered by conservation, something like that. But I will only share a bit about what we study in Cambodia. So when we conduct the waste management in Cambodia, research over there, we visit a recycling center in Phnom Penh, near Phnom Penh, outskirts of Phnom Penh. But it is not, previously it was really thriving, and the low income class surrounded the recycling center also contribute and then empower by collecting the waste. But it's when we visit the place, it is not it's not working anymore because the China banned importing recycling waste. So sorry, maybe I jumped the answer. I try to answer like how I try to answer. I try to answer the question from Budani, actually, like how to raise awareness to the community about waste management is to put market value to the waste, is to put the value of money to the waste that you collected or you preserve or you recycle or you reuse. If you put a unit of money there, then it will automatically raise awareness in almost all people, because people understand about money, value for money intrinsically. They automatically know that, oh, okay, this is something that is benefit instead of becoming a waste. So yeah, so that's why I'm sharing about the story in Cambodia. In Cambodia, previously the community keen to keep the waste out of the out of the river, or even sending to the recycling center when they can sell it, when it has a profit for them. But once the China shut the border for plastic waste, I think including, if I'm not mistaken, Vietnam also closed the border for plastic waste. It doesn't have any value anymore. So they say people stop sending waste to their recycling center. So I will stop here, even though I cannot answer Pak Sena question, but I already direct the answer to Budani. Budani, please answer Pak Sena question. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Elizabeth. I highlight that, yeah, money on the market is really attractive to people, right? And I think in some rural areas, maybe especially in Jakarta, I don't know, maybe in Philippines and Vietnam as well, we have like some stations that actually we can segregate our waste, and we got money in back for appreciation value. I think it's like that. Following that, Badani, do you have something to add up, please?
Yeah, following that, do you think that there is any other factors that also influence the behavior change? For example, the education, the change of mindset, and etc. Not only from the
okay.
economic value, but also from the another side of your perspective.
Yes. But it's sorry, but it's not in waste management. But I can see it from our study in air pollution. So when people aware that it has bad effect to their health, then they will stop doing something and more act greener, something like that. It happened in Jakarta for air pollution. So they ride bicycle and etc. Recently, a lot of report coming about microplastic. Oh, microplastic found in fish, even in the cloud, and even in the meat that we consumption. Then I think later on it will also affect the people how they treat their waste, plastic waste. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. What about Bethany? Is it okay? So we can continue to the next speaker, Dr. Lamnoy. So I will repeat the first questions from Dr. Sena. It's regarding the intergovernmental policies towards the 5 countries of the Mekong River management. From Bethany, it's about is there any or are there any social and cultural impact towards the infrastructure development? Okay, Dr. Lamnoy, the time is yours.
Okay, Dr. Sena, it is very good question. You know, like in one country, I can answer you directly the question. Even in the one country, different province, and even one district, different community, we have very challenging to they call that the benefit sharing, and also something like the you need the cooperation. When you need the cooperation, even in the from the local from the community level until to the international level, always challenging. Of course, I can answer you the first for the in terms of technology, in the policy, government, and intergovernment. Mekong have a Mekong River Commission, and Mekong River Commission have a 6 member. However, very active member is from 4 countries. Very active member is in lower they call lower Mekong basin, Laos, Thailand, and Vietnam. Yeah, Laos, Thailand, Vietnam, and Cambodia. Of course, for the policy, they have a Mekong River Commission with own representative of the participation in every country. So when they make every decision, they consult they call public consultation and country consultation from the other decision. However, in every country, they have to protect themselves, and they also have to make the hydroelectric power dam for social economic development. Of course, for especially for the development in the upstream, like the China, Myanmar, something they suddenly they open the dam and a lot of water come out and the flooding come to the Mekong Delta, and they thought that if they not open the dam, the flood will happen in their country. Of course, in the river they have to open the dam, and maybe the dam will be broken, something like that. They have to protect themselves. Something. So of course, in the lower country immediately respond that you can open, but the water flow, the water volume, you have to estimate, and you have to have like a very clear plan. You have to inform before 2 weeks or 1 week for about the operation. Of course, in terms of policy, they have to inform, but the real is informed or not informed, or urgent or not urgent. It is something is not clear. It is flexible, right? So for the benefit sharing, they told that of course Vietnam get a lot of benefit because sediment come to Vietnam from the upstream to downstream, a lot of sand, a lot of sediment, and our they call our agriculture is get a lot of product from the river. And right now, you get the sediment. It means that you also have to get suddenly the big water amount, volume water come and the flood coming to you and maybe damage the crop something. So it is the not it's out of the control. It's out of the control. So in terms of policy, have good some, but in the practical, it's something is very challenging. So in every meeting, every commitment, they have a policy. They call transboundary policy to sign some commitment. But the effectiveness of working is something sensitive. Even something like the when you predict the water volume come from upstream to downstream, you have to running the model. You have to run a model. You have to get the data, all the data information about upstream, but very difficult to get the sharing real time. They call time real data. Real data is something difficult to sharing. Of course, we try to manage it. However, this is it can be maximized. It cannot like the give maximize the cooperation only, and we try to maximize this. And of course, Vietnam is direct impact by Mekong, and we would like to we many raising our voice that okay, please sharing the operation plan, please sharing the information something, yeah. And in terms of policy and government, all the government are trying to cooperate in the management of water river, and something sensitive, but we are, I think, do better and better now from the past until present. Yeah. For the second, I think I hope that this question can answer the my answer can fill to the question. The second for the Dr. Dan. For Dr. Danny, for Dr. Danny, of course, always social and economic factor affect to the infrastructure development. If you infrastructure always have need whole of money, need a lot, need the high budget. If you are poor, you cannot construct big infrastructure, and you also cannot plan for the long-term infrastructure. However, in terms of social and cultural effect, I think it is not much like the economic factor. In the infrastructure, we for irrigation and also for water supply something. When you construct the new infrastructure, you need land, right? You need land, you need something, but based on the culture, they are farmer. And when the government takes the land of the farmer to construct the water infrastructure, they have to give the compensation, the money for the farmer. But the money normally is very little when compared with their farm productivity and something, and that's why it makes a conflict. And some protect, and some farmer not agree to give us the land for government to make the infrastructure. Of course, but it is that is the small issue. It's not very big issue because the land also belong to government, and government can control it. You something the farmer have to follow the government. But in other factor from the community, from the culture, like it's very clear in the water supply infrastructure. When you will construct the water supply infrastructure, you have to construct the tap, the water distribution. Water distribution is with the material like iron or something. It's easy to broken or something. They store the material to sell, and they damage the infrastructure for water supply. This is a culture because some farmer is very poor, and they are very poor, so that's why they get very small benefit even from the infrastructure. However, this is also not not big problem, because they own of the local people understood clearly that infrastructure supports their livelihood, and this is a service. This is a basic service for their life. So all of the people are most of the people are very protect. They protect some very good for the infrastructure, for the water infrastructure. This is from my point. Hopefully that it can answer the question. If you have any further comment, please let me know. Yeah.
Is there any FPIC mechanism before developing a huge infrastructure in Mekong areas?
Sorry,
Free, prior, inform, and consent. Is there any such mechanism before the developing the huge infrastructure in Vietnam?
For the developed infrastructure, before the developed infrastructure, you always do the environmental assessment, SEI something. They also when infrastructure also protect provide by World Bank, ADB something. So for the implementing they go safeguard policy is always go before the project implementing very clearly, very straightforward, and it's very clear step, very strictly step in the infrastructure development in Vietnam and also in other countries. Safeguard policy always follow by on the donor, by on the implementer, and also by on the national regulation. Very clear.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Lam Noi. I think it's very complicated when we talk about policies and how to collaborate between a lot of countries. But yeah, I highlight that the main important thing is collaborations. And then I heard about something about money. I think it's very important for the local community as well. Okay, for Mbak Dani and Dr. Sena, do you have anything to add up for Dr. Lam Noi?
Okay, thank you very much for the answer.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Lam Noi. We can continue to the third speaker, Ms. Liesel. Okay, the questions from Dr. Sena is about how to attract the community and what kind of activities that appropriate to attract them. And then from Mbak Dani, elaborate more about most multi-stakeholder engagement in mangrove conservations and especially in your study case. Thank you. The time is yours.
Okay. Thank you so much, Dr. Sena and Dr. Dani, for the very interesting question. And based on the case studies that I have presented, so it's very much relevant. Of course, the question is all about how we could attract community in many areas, particularly because I am a forester. So I go to upland areas and of course to the coastal where there are people. So as my major social forestry, so I always go to areas where people are involved. And when there are people who are involved in the mangrove or forest rehabilitation, reforestation activities, it becomes more difficult. So now the question is, how do we attract them to be able to have an active involvement of the community or the people who are residing or living nearby or within that area. So first is we usually give them this coordination and informing them, okay? Making them aware and providing them knowledge is very important. Though of course, there is knowledge from the experts and the local knowledge is also should be incorporated. So that's why when we do activities and or collaboration, it should always be good coordination and communication with these people. So that's how we should start. And of course, the community, when every time you go to the community will ask what will be the benefits that we can derive from it. Particularly, they would always expect that there is monetary incentives so that they can also, of course, that could be a good intervention. But in reality, when we do projects, research, etc., it has limited budget, right? So the key there is we should make them well informed and give them capacity. So if we cannot provide monetary incentives, we can always give them something in kind. And also a good intervention is that make them more aware that it has a long-term benefits. So if we do mangrove conservation, for example, it could be a long-term activity, but it has a potential and it will give them more benefits. Like, for example, we do rehabilitation. In the future, it can grow into a forest, and then it can help them, especially for the coastal communities, then that could eventually, if this could help in buffering the impacts of let's say coastal um um coastal waves, or yeah, something like that. So it helps in the dissipation. So they have to be well informed. And also another thing, in the case of the Quezon, which we have visited, and then where we conducted our study, an alternative livelihoods is also important. Like for example, in Alitas, in Panta, Quezon, aside from the mangrove species, there is this um, nipa. So we have, they also use this. So it also grows with the mangroves. So they can use this as raw materials for making local wine. So we call that tuba, okay, or lambanog. It's a really good wine. And the community is processing it. So they help in gathering the um materials for processing the local wine, and at the same time they make vinegar out of it. So there are alternative livelihoods. And another promising is so that we can also attract the participation of this community is the potential of the area for ecotourism. So in these two villages that we went to recently, in Panta, Quezon, the other one is they already have started it. I think it was established already, the ecotourism park that they have 10 years ago. And now this other village is still establishing, but it has been supported by the local government units, but it is managed by the community. So the idea also is that if there is an organized community, so then it is easy to mobilize the people, and they can also attract participation from the non-members so that they can increase the membership of the organization who are being tapped to manage and protect the mangrove areas. So I hope that I answered Dr. Sena's question. And for the question of Dr. Dani, in terms of the multi-stakeholder collaboration, so yeah, I would like to elaborate on that. This is we have developed this framework when we conducted the research on participatory coastal resilience in Quezon province. So it shows that there should be a multi-stakeholder collaboration. So we have identified, of course, the Department of Environment and Natural Resources, the local government units of that particular municipality. And then at the core of this should be the people's organization. So the capacity, the local commitment and participation of this community um, being represented by a people's organization is very critical in mangrove protection, because they are the ones um, doing the protection and monitoring in their mangrove areas. And then the capacity involvement of the different institutions like the DNR and the LGU also is important, especially in preparing plans like disaster risk reduction management plans, the land use plans, so and other plans that can mitigate, of course, the impacts of climate change. So they have to be capacitated so that the whatever strategies that they do in order to lessen the impacts of climate change should also be responsive, and it can address the recent challenges, and then at the same time prioritizing the mangrove or putting it or scaling it up that we have to really prioritize the conservation or protection of this area. And yeah, if we do this strong local commitment and active participation of the people's organization and then the local government units as well as academe, research institutions and funding institutions, then there could be a proper disaster risk management and environmental management planning and implementation in order to achieve the local resiliency and as well as improvement of the human well-being, and the ecosystem also can continue its functions. So it's like a combination of the mangrove ecosystem resilience and as well as climate resilience. So collaborative management really is a key to this in promoting resilience. Yeah, I hope that answers Dr. Dani's question.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Lizel. I highlight again collaborative, incentive, and yeah, to support the mangrove conservations. Yeah, I think the key is collaborations and communications, right? So how can we deliver it to local community and also people who have importance to the mangrove area, and at the end we can support with ecotourism. I really like that word. Thank you, Dr. Lizel. What about Dr. Dani and Dr. Sena? Do you have something to add up?
No, it's good. I think very interesting.
Okay, Dr. Dani is good. Okay, okay. So we can continue. Maybe we can see there are some questions in the chat box. Because of the time limitation, I'm sorry, I have to read it. First, for Dr. Elizabeth, it's only a suggestion from Ibu Luce. She's from ASRI, I think, yeah. And for Ibu Elizabeth, for peatland management, RDI can check the location in Rupat Island, Riau. BRGM has established that location become a reference for peatland ecosystem, which still keep in natural condition. I think it's a good suggestion. The time is yours to respond, Dr. Elizabeth.
No. Yeah. Thank you very much. We are aware of the BGR, badan ini ya, apa badan gambut, badan restorasi gambut. Sorry, we are aware. Actually, the team already prepared a slide on that, but I skipped the slide. So thank you very much for the reminder.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Elizabeth and Buluce for the suggestions. Next question come again from Buluce. For Dr. Lamnoy, is it possible to combine the forestation approach as well in your planning to establish the infrastructure development in wetland area? As we know, forest is the one of the factor of flood and drought. Perhaps in this study, you can explain about the situations of the forest nearby the river. Dr. Lamnoy, the time is yours.
Yeah, I already respond in the chat box. Yeah, integrated. I mentioned clearly that integrated approach consider both environmental, economic, and social is very important. And forestation is one environmental approach. It's very important factor for give a priority for that kind of approach. As in the picture, you can see the in the chat box. I also present the picture of the sea dikes. From the sea dike, in the behind the dike, immediately the mangrove is recovering and reduce load land and livelihood with and social economic and economic development is very active behind the dike. So in this case, the forestation is a very important factor for a very important approach. In considering the forestation factor, we must considering the factor related to local community, because the forest can only develop if the forest to be protected by the local resident, local community. Otherwise, the forest cannot be recovered. So that is my response, and the integrated approach, including social, economic, and environment, also give us the priority in this case for not only water resource management but also for wetland management. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Lamnoy, for the answer. Okay, we don't have any question actually for Dr. Lizel, but I personally have a questions. I also interest in like social forestry community research, but I'm like partially curious. Like, have you ever faced a conflict or situation where the community like reject the researcher come to help them or support them, and how you two intercom and face that kind of problem? Thank you.
Well, in my almost 20 years of working with the community so far, there were no rejections, but maybe some hesitancies. But that's why in every community development or rural development that we initiate, so the most important is that you start with talking to the key persons. Like for example, if the forest area that you are, or let's say for example, a watershed. So a watershed could be covering more municipalities. So you have to locate the people who should be coordinated first. So like for example, the mayor. So you do courtesy call. So that's how we should start. But most likely the mayors are open to this kind of initiative. So what we do is we also make or prepare a memorandum of agreement to ensure sustainability. But of course, you have to go to the ground also. So you go to the towns, the village, and there you talk to the barangay captain, or if there are indigenous peoples, you have to talk to the chieftain. So that's the process or the phases that you have to go into. Because if you want to um, engage into a successful kind of rural development or community development, particularly in the upland, then that's how you should coordination to the key persons should be start so that you can avoid rejections or so that. Although of course you really have to manage to encourage them to be engaged. But of course there are problems, like maybe conflicts happens within the organization, like the people's organization. So of course we cannot avoid that. So that's why continuous work on rural development, community organizing should be done so that to ensure successful research or development projects. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much, Dr. Lizel. Very interesting. Like, I think high commitment is also needed in this kind of project, right? Regarding the community to encourage, empower them as well. Okay. Thank you so much for all speakers and discussants. I think it's been interesting, and let's say it's a spicy discussions. And before I pass it back to Ilham, I think I have something to highlight. That is, we are so important to manage waste management and debris as well, and then increase the involvement of infrastructure and collaborative strategies among all stakeholders, especially the local community itself. And then at the end, we can all together support the wetland, especially in Southeast Asia. Okay, before I pass back to Ilham, our MC, I would like to welcome all of our speakers and discussants to give us a closing remarks regarding our wetland management. No need to be long, but make it short, but it's straight to the heart. Okay, we can start from Dr. Elizabeth.
Okay. Thank you, Joy. So thank you, everyone. So yeah, I think we can start conserving wetland. Start from not using plastic. Even you in the city, in the mountain, if you stop using plastic, you conserve wetland. Thank you.
Okay, we can go next to Dr. Lamnoy. Sorry, it's still in mute, Dr. Lamnoy.
Yeah, one simple thing in life for the adapt to climate change and for wetland management is that to teach the own children how to swim. So all the children know how to swim is one they can increase their capacity to adapt to own climate change in terms of wetland management. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Lamnoy. We can continue to Miss Liesel.
Yeah, thank you, Joy. Yeah. I think I would like to highlight or emphasize the importance really of conserving and protecting our mangrove resources because it really helps the community, and as well as we need to capacitate the different stakeholders was stakes or impact in the mangroves or the wetland as a whole, so that we can have a or we can promote resilience and as well as improve human well-being. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Miss Liesel. Dr. Sena, please continue to you for.
Okay, me too. Okay, thank you very much for the opportunity. The important thing that we manage some resources is that we should consider all the stakeholders and what they will have the benefits. This is very important because it is almost impossible to manage some resources without the considering all the benefit that that flow to the stakeholder. This is the most important thing that I would say to this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Sena. Continue to Dr. Dan.
Yeah, thank you, Joy. I think for this occasion, this webinar, I hope this can be our a little tiny stepping stone to moving forward for more concrete action in terms of waste management, ecological challenge, and sustainable infrastructure in wetland. And I'm looking forward for the collaboration from many of you with us, with ASRI in the future. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Thank you so much, all speakers and discussants. I don't have anything else to say. I mean, it's already been wrapped up very well by our speakers and discussants. So I will say again, thank you. Terima kasih. And salamat for all speakers, discussants, and of course audiences. Please remain stay because we still have several important information to follow, and hopefully we can see again in another opportunity or collaboration. See you, and I give it back to our host, Ilham, please.
Yeah, thank you so much, Joy, and all the speakers and discussants today. I think all materials and discussion have concluded by our moderator. Yeah, thank you so much for the extraordinary materials and discussion from all speakers and discussants. I believe that today's presentation, that today's webinar can provide a good knowledge about the sustainability of our wetlands. Yeah, I want to inform you about our second webinar entitled Sustainable Land Use, Conservation Strategies, and Disaster Risk Reduction in Wetland Effective Practices, which will be held at end of March 2024, and hopefully all participants can attend these events. Yeah. And the next slide, please. Yeah, I want to inform you about our social media. These are our social media. You can follow us on Twitter, LinkedIn, and Instagram to get latest information about our activities. Yeah, and I think this is the last part of our webinar agenda. Thank you so much to all participants. Salamat kaman, and see you in the next webinar. Thank you so much to all speakers,
Thank
discussants, and
you.
participants.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for this
Thank
very
you.
good
See you.
opportunity. Good
Yes,
evening.
it's very interesting. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, everyone.